Hi everyone! So I had a go last night at colouring some lemons. I had a few minutes to spare and I thought let's get a bit of colouring in there just for mental health and sanity reasons. So I decided to try and emulate as best I could a realistic looking lemon, and this book is Worlds of Wonder by Johanna Basford. So I posted my work in progress on Instagram and a lot of you were really bowled over by it, and to be honest I didn't think they were that great. I thought they looked quite muddy and not perfect, but anyway, I thought I'd show you how I did them just in case you like them and you want to try and replicate it. So I've become a lot more carefree about things. I used to be very sort of rigid on what I did and didn't use. I didn't want anything to bleed through and I didn't like mixing things together, mixed media and stuff, but I don't know, I've just become sort of a bit more blasé about it now. So I am actually using alcohol markers in this book, and as you will know if you've got it, it is a double-sided book, so you will definitely get some bleed through, and that's the reason I've put this piece of hardboard behind it. But I know that I'm not going to colour every single page in this book, and I've already coloured this one because it was a freebie in Johanna's Flourish download. So I'm not too bothered about ruining that, and to be honest I just wanted to have a go at using alcohol markers along with pencils in a Johanna Basford book on one of her designs, and I thought, well, why not just do it? You know, what's stopping you? So the fear has gone. So anyway, if you wanted to just keep it in pencil and you didn't want to have any bleed through, then that's fine. You can just follow the pencil steps. I just like putting a layer of alcohol down to underpaint it. So I've got the Ohuhu brush markers here, and I'm using GY6 Anise and Y8 Olive Yellow. And so what I did is I put a layer of the GY6 over the lemon. Let's just do this one here for the demonstration. In fact, I'll zoom you in because when I zoom in afterwards in editing, it is never as high quality as when I zoom in on my phone. So a layer of the GY6, and really this is it's a lemon yellow, but it's very desaturated and it's got a green tinge to it, which is perfect for lemons. I even pulled out the yellow chartreuse, which has that green tinge to it, but I'm not really using that. I've tried a little bit, but it doesn't seem to make much difference. Then I have the Y8 Olive Yellow, and for this one, this is quite dark, so you've got to sort of use it sparingly, otherwise you will end up getting quite a lot of darkness and muddiness on your lemon. So as you can see, Joanna's helpfully put in some little dots for us here, some little pits in the skin of the lemon. But what I do is I go underneath where the leaves meet the lemon, because that is where you would have your natural shadow from the leaf above it, and I'll just put in a little bit there. As I said, try not to do too much because you can overdo it. I think this one I overdid it a little bit, but it is behind quite a lot of foliage, so whatever. So yeah, like I said, just put in some dark areas in where you think they would naturally sort of sit. And you can sort of extend these down the lemon a little bit, maybe put a few little patches in here and there, but I would say that you should do that sort of after this step. So when you've put some coloured pencil on it, you can gauge it then, see how it looks, and if you think you need any more dark areas anywhere else, you can do that. I've done it kind of on this one here. Can you see? No, I'm zoomed you in too much. This one here, I've put a few dark patches on it. So yeah, I did that afterwards. And then you can use the bullet nib of these markers just to add in some dots. You don't have to follow Johanna's religiously, just add some in here and there. And the closer and tighter together that you do these dots will mean more of a shaded area. And then I went in again with the GY6, the first one that we put down, and I did a layer again over the top. Now what this does is it serves to blend the darker colour that we've put in, and it also dilutes the strength or intensity of the dots that we've just put on. It scales them back a bit, so they're not as sort of in your face dots, they're a little bit softer. So you just put a little bit of a layer of that on there. You can see how it's just blended it out a little bit and made it softer. So I'll just give it a few minutes to, I was going to say dry, but it doesn't dry, alcohol ink evaporates. So I'll give it a few minutes just to do that, so we haven't got a wet surface that we're playing on with the pencils, because that can sort of pull up the paper. I did it a little bit on this one here, I don't know whether you can tell. I've sort of tried to disguise it with a bit of white gel pen. So yeah, just let that dry a little bit. And then when you are ready, you can come in with your pencil colours. So The ones I've chosen are green ochre for the shadow bits, and this is again very sparingly to be used. Then we've got some yellow ochre, some canary yellow, and a white as well. As I said earlier, I did pull out a yellow chartreuse, and I have done a layer over some of these lemons up here, but I just can't really see that it's making a difference and it's muddying them a bit. So maybe you'll be able to incorporate that in. It is a great colour for lemons. As I say, it's got that green tinge to it. So I always start off with the shadows. I just find it easy to do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, with my sharp pencil, just deepen up these areas of shadow, but very, very close to the edge. I'm not coming out very far at all. I might do later on in the process when I see how much room I've got, but for now I'm just deepening up the very, very edges, because you really can go too far with it and then you're stuck. So that's that. Like I say, I might do a few little patches and things up there later, but for now just put that little bit on, then get your yellow ochre and thicken that area up. So the yellow ochre will blend into the green ochre quite nicely. If I just thicken that up there, it looks quite orange, and you might think, well, it doesn't look too lemony, but I don't know, it sort of gives you the darker yellow colour that you need, and it really helps to blend out that green ochre as well. And it looks better when it's done, as you can see. So it's one of those things where you have to trust the process. So again, just putting in some of this yellow ochre in all of these areas where we've had our green ochre, and I'm also going to pull some up on the side of the lemon as well, leaving a tiny weeny gap just so it gives the eye the illusion of it being a rounded object. And when I have put enough of that in, I'm just constantly looking at it, engaging it, seeing where I want to put some in. Again, I don't want to go too far with this because we're not colouring orange, we don't want it all to be orange, but we do definitely want that to be present in the final piece. So now I've got my canary yellow, and at this point you should really decide where you want your highlights to be. I'm going to make mine, where shall I make mine? Maybe here, just in the centre, because we've got kind of a nice gap there. So once you've figured out your highlight, colour everything else but that highlight area, so you can see I'm going around it but I'm not actually colouring it, and just filling that in, and this gives you a nice yellowish look to the lemons. And you can sort of blend out that yellow ochre a little bit as well while you're there. I've left a little bit of a gap on the side, just it's barely noticeable. You might not even be able to tell on camera, but there is a lighter area just to the edge of the lemon, again giving us that look of three-dimensional. So everything is coloured there apart from that highlight. Again, I'm not sure whether you'll be able to tell. And then what I do is, now that I've sort of decided where the colours are all going to go, this is where I can bring in the darker areas a little bit more. Now that I know, I don't want to do it first off because you might go too far, but I can bring these darker areas out just a little bit more, very light hand, and just pull that out there a little bit. Same again up here. It is just a fraction of colour that's probably not too noticeable, but it does make a difference. So I'm pulling it out a little bit more, and I'm going to bring a little bit of it just up the side there as well. And as I said, I wanted to do a little bit of a patch up here, so maybe I'll just do really random area of dark there, just to show a bit of variation in the skin of the lemon. Maybe it's got a little bit of shadow on it, or dark patch of zest, is that what you call it? But yeah, it just gives it just that look of a little bit more realism, really. So once you've put all of your dark areas down and you are happy, I'm just going to look at my others just to see what else I want to do. No, I think that might be all right. I don't want to go too far. I'm really cautious of putting too much down. So once you are semi-happy with that, come back in with your yellow ochre, going over all of your green ochre, and still maintaining that kind of orangey section. We really want that to be clear, but we just don't want it to dwarf the whole thing. Is that the right word? I don't think that is the right word, is it? Because dwarf is generally small, but I'm sure that's right, dwarf the whole thing. Anyway, so keeping that green ochre scaled back and blended in with the yellow ochre, you'll get something like this. So again, I don't want to go too far with the colour, and I do want to keep the yellow because of course it is a lemon, so I'm coming back in with the canary again as a second layer and making sure that that orange, while still present, isn't sort of in your face. So it's definitely a yellow fruit. Very, very difficult with yellow to put highlights and shadows on. I've looked at a lot of reference images of lemons, and yeah, it's not easy to replicate, for me anyway. So even though they might look a little bit muddy, I'm hoping by the end of it, once we've got a background on and all the leaves are coloured and things, they'll really pop and they'll look a lot brighter than they do at the moment. So I'm just, again, just gauging this, looking at my other ones. Want to make this a little bit darker. I know I keep saying don't put too much dark in and then I'm adding more, so I'm being really contradictory, but that's just how I am. So I'm gonna leave that for now. I think it's sort of a balancing act between blending them out and making sure that they're not too erased. A little bit up here. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with that. Might just bring in a bit more of the yellow ochre. I'm so hard to please. I'm a perfectionist. Even though I know I can't achieve perfection, I'm always striving for it to look absolutely perfect. But again, I'm trying to care less about my art, because I think I care too much about how good things look, and I'm trying to come back from that a little bit and just have fun with it, really. Again, that's what I said about using the alcohol markers in Johanna Basford book. Like, would you ever consider it? No, because you ruin the book. But what if you really want to colour one of the images and you want to use alcohol markers? Like, why not? There's no rule against it. Right, so I've put a little bit more orange in there and I've blended it out just a bit. Now what I did, and you're going to kill me for this because it is a surefire way to crack the core of your pencils, but I'm just, you know, I'm going with it. So you've got a really sharp green ochre, and I'm just going to dot some more of those pits on the lemon. Now, if you have Prismacolor spares, or you know, you can get them quite cheaply and stuff like that, you won't be too bothered about doing this, but I know that a lot of people will be shouting at me because you will probably crack the core at some point and break the lead inside the pencil. But anyway, so once you've done that, you'll have a little bit more of a realistic looking texture to the lemon. And I'm just trying to think what I did next. Just going to add a little bit more of the green ochre here. It's just not quite as dark as I want it to be. Yours isn't going to look like this anyway. It's not going to look exactly the same carbon copy of mine, but hopefully you can take the technique and just fiddle about with it. That's all I do. I look at reference photos and I try my best to replicate it, and this is what kind of thing that comes out. So I've got a Arteza 1.0 white gel pen, but any white gel pen will do. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that highlight bit that we left, and I'm going to scribble some ink. As you can see, these pens are really juicy and they let me scribble lots and lots of ink. I'm going to leave it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to pad it with my finger like this. And what that does is the 5 seconds allows it to dry a little bit underneath, so that it is going to still stay. It's not going to completely wipe off, but when you pad it with the finger, it blurs it, so you've not got this big solid piece of white in the center of your lemon. You can blur it a little bit, and again you can add and then do the same thing and swipe it a little bit with your finger so that you really are blending it out. And you'll end up with a lovely white highlight it looks like a shine on your lemon, and it's not crisp, it's nice and soft, and it just adds to it a little bit, I think. And the final thing that I would do, again with the gel pen, is do a few more dots. Now, don't go mad. I know I'm mad on white gel pen dots and I tend to overdo it, but on the lemons, don't go mad. We just want to add a little bit of highlight. You know how we've done the dark bits for the pits? We want to add a bit of highlight for the tops of the pits, and also just it gives it nice little sparkly shine as well, which, you know, isn't realistic, but anyway. So just a few dots here and there, and they don't have to be perfectly round, so don't worry about that. Just do whatever your arm takes you. So a few little dots, variation on the sizes a little bit, and just looking at that, trying to see if I'm happy with it. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so like I said, it might look a bit odd, a bit muddy, a bit too dark. A lemon's supposed to be bright yellow, why has it got all this dark on it? But obviously we're trying to create shadow on a light colour, and believe me, when you have done the rest of the picture, these will look, it will just elevate it, and they'll look brilliant, hopefully, fingers crossed. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know if you decide to do it yourself and tag me in any of your finished work. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon on Colour with Claire.